So, welcome everybody to our webinar today on marketing strategies for your business. I'm Mike Fiffick, and this will be presented by Matt Fazio and his colleague Anna Getz. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Anna?
You are. You
From
are. That was
Donnelly,
excellent.
yes, from Donnelly-Boland and Associates. They are a business consulting and accounting and financial services firm located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I've had a relationship with Donnelly-Boland for at least 25 years, and they're wonderful to work with. I enjoy working with them, and they bring a lot of expertise to the table on a variety of things. But today we're going to be focusing marketing strategies. And if you're a small business owner, if you are selling services into the small business marketplace, it's really a great time to be in business. Last year, this time, maybe not so great to be in business. You were freaking out probably. What in the world is COVID? What's this pandemic going to do to my business? You're working on pivoting and trying to figure out how to keep your business open for an extended period of time in very uncertain times. But things are changing. The pandemic is waning. The restrictions are certainly going away. And the economy is heating up, and that's going to be also true for small businesses in 2021. So if you don't have a strong marketing strategy, now is a great time to get one and to put it into action, because you want to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. So with that, I will hand it over to Matt and Anna.
Thanks so much, Mike. Um, so my name is Matt Fazio. I work at Donnelly-Boland and Associates, and quite honestly, I'm just really happy to be here today. I've been a part of a number of Mike's seminars, and I've kind of been the facilitator for a while. I did one marketing one a while back, but I'm really excited about this one too. So today, just a couple administrative things to start. There are two different boxes for you to type in if you need to contact us. One is the Q&A box, and the other is the chat box. If you have a comment, something that is adding on to something that we're already talking about, just throw that in the chat, and Anna is going to be the one who's going to be overseeing that. But also there's a Q&A box, and this is you actually have a direct and clear question. If you ask this question right in the Q&A box, that's great. And throughout the presentation, Anna is going to do one of three things. One, she's going to answer it right on the spot and give you an answer while I'm still presenting. Two, she's going to pause me and say, hey, this is a really good question. Why don't you answer this right here? And I'm going to answer it. Or three, we're going to save it until the end. Hopefully, we're going to be able to go through this quickly enough so that we do have an opportunity to go through some things at the end of this presentation too. And I think that this will be a really good opportunity for us to do that together. So I am going to kick it off now, and I'm going to share my screen. We're all good with that? Okay. So the title of today's session is Marketing Strategies. And although you might think the important word here is marketing, it's actually strategies. Some people call it marketing, other people call it communications or advertising or PR. The term for a small business is not nearly as important as you might think it is. Because when you're a small business, you're not going to have different departments for everything. You're not going to have a marketing department and a communications department, and an advertising department, and a PR department. You're not going to, silo all of these things out. You're going to be doing them all simultaneously. So regardless of what you call it on your end, if you want to call it marketing or you want to call it communications, it's fine. But really what you need to be focusing on is what you want your marketing strategy to do. What are your goals? You work for an organization, you own an organization in many of the cases here today, and you're selling something. That might be a product, that might be a service. And sometimes people think that no, I don't technically sell something. We all sell something, because even not-for-profit organizations, think about like a library, you're still selling something. You're selling a space and for people to spend their time with you. So in a very general concept, we're all selling something to some regard. You might not come off as a car salesperson, but at the same time, we're trying to make those connections the best way that possible. So when you think about it, marketing, communications, and advertising and PR are all trying to do the same thing. The key is what we want to do with that. In today's discussion, we're going to be walking through this marketing strategy seminar, and we're going to cover brand development, content generation, and social media. And really, before I go any further, what I wanted to do is I wanted to ask a question. So question number one, what are you most interested in learning about today? Brand development, content generation, social media, or all of the above? I like to do these things right away because I want to make sure that I'm spending time on the things that you want to hear about most. I'm going to give you about 5-10 more seconds for this. Wow. I mean, here's the thing. This isn't exactly what I expected it to be, and that's okay. Check it out. A lot of people want to hear about all of the above. So we're all good with that. I am looking forward to talking about all of the above. So before we jump into our pillars of our discussion today, there are a few things that I need to do to lay some of the groundwork before we really start to jump into these things. One, people are using their phones more than ever. I know that this seems like something we all conceptually understand, but I really want for you to see the numbers. According to eMarketer in a 2021 survey, 70% of all media time is spent on smartphones. Okay, this is all media time. This includes radio. This includes television. This includes computers. And as someone, for me, I sit at my computer all day long at work, but 70% of all media time is consumed through phones. In 2019, 56% of all web traffic was generated through phones, but now in Q1 of 2021, it's nearly 70%. In just this first quarter of 2021, we have seen a 14% increase. This is occurring much more rapidly than many could have ever expected. But I think this is just really important. You need to understand that the primary way that you are going to be engaging with your people, especially online, is going to be through their phones. So think about your modalities, your methodologies, your messaging. Everything should be at least considered through your phone. This does not mean that we're not going to talk about some other ideas and other ways to engage with people, because there are plenty of other ways that you want to produce your marketing strategy. But at the same time, this is how you're going to be reaching people the most.
Hey, Matt, just a quick comment. We started incorporating texting into our client service model in mid 2020 in recognition of this trend, and it has been extremely well received. The responsiveness from our customers via text is through the roof. I mean, people respond to texts far faster, and they notice them far sooner than they do emails or any other form of communication. This is just really where people are.
I absolutely agree. I think that that's a major portion of this, because this is where people are. This is how you're reaching people. And you don't know when you email people, if it's going to go into junk mail. You do know if you have their phone number, boom, it's right on their phone. So this always needs to be in the back of our minds as we're creating our strategies. Next up is I started to talk right at the very beginning about the importance of strategies. Having a plan is critical to success. When I started here at Donnelly-Boland about 9 years ago, my boss was Kevin Boland, our executive vice president. Meeting after meeting, he would talk about infrastructures and ways to find repeatable success. He would say it honestly every time we would meet: infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And this is one of those times where I think I heard the words, but I don't think I really understood them. And it took me time to have that concept sink in. And now everywhere I look, this is exactly what it is. So I want you to think about infrastructure and repeatable success. One of the mistakes that I see so many organizations make when it comes to advertising and marketing is you think that you do one thing, you're like, look, I'm done. You need to find a way to produce things again and again and again so that you can build from that, and you can develop that infrastructure so that you can do it again. And this is what we're going to be talking about today with your brand. How do you develop your brand, your content calendars, your social media? Find repeatable success. Every time I sit down with clients about their marketing strategy, invariably someone on the other side of the table says the exact same thing. We know we should be marketing more. We know we should be marketing more. It's unbelievable. There are certain things that it doesn't seem like people always say, like, maybe I need it, maybe I don't. I think that people do know they should do it, but doesn't mean they do it. I'm a very practical person. Think about all the things we know we should be doing that we don't always do. We know we should eat better. We know we should exercise more. We know we should have more patience. But just because we know we should do something doesn't mean we will always do something better. So for me, an organization might know that they need to use marketing, but they need to act on it. And the reason that people don't act on it are one of two reasons: time and money. That's it. Simple as that. For some people, you don't have the time to allocate toward marketing functions. After all, the more time you spend marketing means less time doing what you do best. And then the other thing is money. So maybe you say, I need to spend all my time running my business. Somebody else needs to do the marketing. But you need to hire somebody, or you need an outsourced solution. And sometimes that's not in the budget. One of these things needs to give way, because otherwise it's just never going to get done. Marketing will always be in the background. And I adamantly believe that you need to consider it. You need to think about it in the foreground for you to really make a major stride moving forward. If you allocate your resources properly, marketing can be an absolute game changer for your organization. So here it is: brand development, content generation, social media. These are the things that we're going to cover today. And I know it seems like I'm bringing up the agenda and then it looks like I'm going to go off on another tangent, but honestly, I'm not. There's just so much groundwork that needs to be laid to do these types of things, because what did we talk about at the very beginning? It's not the marketing, it's the strategy. So when you're thinking about your business, you need to you develop a business plan. You develop your company objectives. What types of clients do you want? You already did that. When developing your organization, you went through that entire process to do those things. But before you understand your brand and your content and your social media, you need to know these things, and you need to have them salient. You need to have them clear and concise, and you need to make sure that you have a really good handle on the direction you want to go. For many people, they might look back to a mission statement, but if you're not a not-for-profit, maybe you don't have a mission statement. You don't know exactly who you are. So try to figure out exactly who you are now, who you want to be, what clients you serve, what is your differentiating point. And from there, you can start developing that out to the next phase. And that's establishing a marketing goal. So for a marketing goal, what is your ROI, return on investment? And sometimes this can be the money you spend on ads. Sometimes this can be the time you spend. Sometimes this can be hiring a new person. You need to figure out how you're going to judge your success. I work for accountants, okay? Donnelly-Boland and Associates is primarily an accounting firm. And when I first came on board here, we had 6 executives, and all 6 executives were accountants. And when I was talking about doing new initiatives and things related to marketing, people are like, wait a minute, how are we going to judge success? Because there needs to be an apples to apples comparison. As we know in marketing, there are a lot of nuances, but at the same time, you need some benchmark to say, yes, this is working, or no, this is not working. And really, when it comes down to it, you need to figure out what you're trying to do. So you need to establish the goals at the very beginning. Are you looking for more business? Are you looking for greater exposure? Are you looking for community involvement? Are you looking for better employee relations? Are you looking for better, like more focus from the community, and you're looking for more of a PRN? You need to think about those things ahead of time. Okay, so we did it. We got to the point now where we have covered all of the things that we need to cover to actually dive into our 3 major areas. Up first is brand development. Brand development is a strategic process of creating and distinguishing your company's image, products, and services from your competitors. What do you do that they don't do? Development includes aligning your brand with your business objectives, communicating your brand to your target market, and updating or strengthening your brand as necessary. Your brand is not just your logo, okay? It's way more than just your logo. Now, here's the thing. It does start there a lot of times. You can work at one point and move out, but your brand is everything that you are. Who are you and what do you stand for? When I think about brand development, I think about who is your audience? What is your identity? What is your ethos? Uh, what where is your competitive advantage? Where are your brand goals? What is the type of flexibility that you're providing? What do you do? Right next to this, we have the Donnelly-Boland and Associates logo. And I'm going to go through this logo quickly and show you how many things are incredibly important to what we do here. Our name is not enough, first of all. Donnelly-Boland Associates, that could be a law firm. It could be a number of different things. There are certain brands, like say Top Golf. You say Top Golf, you at least know the industry that it's in. You might not know that it's like a game golf area, but you do know that it's something to do with golf. Donnelly-Boland and Associates could be a myriad of different things. So for us, a tagline is absolutely necessary. Our colors are unique and distinct. Not a ton of organizations use the forest green and the maroon and the gray combo, but at the same time, these are also not neon colors. These are more standard, traditional, muted colors. Also, there's an association with green and money. We're accountants. There's a connection there. The fonts that are used are very strong. You see in the Donnelly-Boland and Associates, that's all in caps. And then the tagline, it's lowercase until the CPA part. If you look at the image in the background, it's an infinity symbol, represents ongoing, constant, everlasting. The tagline notes exactly who we are. 1, we are a woman-owned business. 2, we are a CPA firm. 3, we've been around since 1992, almost 30 years, promoting that longevity. These are all things that this one little logo is doing. And each one of these things can be carried out in all of the other things that we do. So next poll question. Hold it. Let's go to poll question number 2. Are you happy with your current logo? Number 1 is absolutely, yes, I'm happy with it. Number 2 is it's good, but it's not great. Number 3 is I would like to change it today. Man, do not like this logo. And number 4 is I need a logo. Don't have a logo. I think that this is a fun question sometimes because it gives people the opportunity to kind of reflect after hearing a lot of like the reasoning and rationales behind what we do here. Okay, so sharing results, more than over half said absolutely. Some said good, not great, and a couple people also need a logo. That's okay too. Okay, so I think that that's good because people are in slightly different positions. And if you are happy with your logo, that's awesome. So in no way do I think that's a bad thing. I think that's wonderful. If you're happy with your logo right now and you're confident in it, you can use your logo to start jumping into the other areas. So next up here is within brand development is integrated marketing communications. This is really what brand development comes down to be. Integrated marketing communications is a simple concept. It ensures that all forms of communications and messages are carefully linked together. At the most basic level, IMC means integrating all promotional tools so they work in harmony together. Oh, nope. even when things vary a bit, you get the feeling that they all came from the same place. Your brand is more than your logo, it is everything that you do. It is your culture, it is your communications. It's an all encompassing approach to your business. Consider the tone with your emails. Do all of your employees have standard email signatures? When you do, let's say you do Facebook ads, do they have that same vibe, that same ethos? Is your brand easy to digest for your audiences? Do you have logos and colors? Are all of these things connected? Mike?
Yeah, I was just going to say, um, if when I think about this, I think about all of the places that your customers or your potential customers are going to encounter you, and that could be on your social media pages, or it could be in an email, or it could be in a text. How your outbound or your customer facing communications and digital presence should all have some level of consistency between them, right? So
Absolutely.
your name on all your social media pages should be the same. Probably the content should be very similar. Your whatever your banner is should be the same. And whether you're a big company or you're an individual business owner, you can still accomplish all of these things to have some level of consistency, because every look that a customer gets of you is an opportunity to increase your brand awareness. So it's in everything. We put a lot of that in our text messages, in our emails, like Matt said, on our signatures. Mail that we send will have not only our logos and things on them, but maybe things in the mail as well. You can just maybe take a step back and look at what others do, because you're a consumer. You're experiencing, in real life, this integrated communication, and you can maybe take some tips, from that, right?
Yeah, and I think a really good point that you just brought up was the idea that you want this same feeling regardless of the outlet that you're using. You might be using several different outlets to do the same thing. You might have text, you might have email marketing, you might have radio ads, but it should have that cohesive feel. It should feel like the same thing, just coming from a different place. Not the exact same. There are standard points of deviation, but at the same time, it should still feel the same. And I know that one of the things that I like most about this field in general is that these should all look different for each business. Okay, maybe your business is a little bit more fun and cheeky, and you can do that. We sell professional services. Okay, there's no way that I want Donnelly-Boland and Associates to be the ones posting funny memes online. But other businesses that might work for. You need to decide what your brand is, who you are. And then after you decide that, you can push that out into all the different platforms and all the different outlets that you have.
One example I've seen locally here. There's a lawyer in Pittsburgh who has branded herself as sort of the biker chick lawyer, right? You know, she does family law and criminal defense, just like hundreds of other lawyers do criminal law and family law type. But her brand, right? The rapper that she wraps around, and her public persona is a biker chick, right? And so if you go on her Facebook page, you'll see that there's biker related stuff on there. That's what her brand is. She does the same thing that other lawyers do, what she does. It's just that's her brand. I don't want to call it her shtick, right? But
Yeah,
that's just what she's wrapped herself in. So, you know, what do you wrap yourself in? You know, what is the appearance that you want to make that distinguishes you from others in the industry that do what you do? What makes you unique? What's going to make somebody look twice, right? What's going to make somebody look twice whenever they're looking at a whole host of people that do what you do? Um, you know, and then you go with it. See how it works, right?
Yep, I completely agree. Uh,
Ano-
th-
Another example, there are a lot of financial advisors, right? But there's some that brand themselves Kingdom Advisors, and that's a brand, because they're saying we have a Christian base. We have a Christian ethos, right? We have a Christian basis That's what we do. They're appealing to a particular segment of the marketplace that has an affinity for that type of a thing. Just like Biker Chick is appealing to the marketplace that likes biker type stuff or has an affinity for that, they may choose her as their
Yep.
lawyer, right? Not because she's a good lawyer or whatever, but they have an affinity for that particular type of a thing, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
That's part of what it's about.
So next up here is make conscious decisions about everything that you do. Um, this example right here is Pepsi. This is one of my all-time favorites. I'm also a teacher. I teach at a number of different universities, and this is something that I've been using for a number of years. What's so super cool about this is that you can see from Pepsi Cola to Pepsi today. Think about it like a relay race with handing the baton. The baton is handed from one to the next, and sometimes the changes are very slight, and then sometimes it's a lot more. Like when you go from the 1940s logo to the 1950s logo, going to the bottle cap, that's way different, but it's still using that same font, that same Pepsi Cola vibe, and then they can start moving away from that. So if you want to make changes either to your logo or to the brand that you have, you can do this. But sometimes, throwing somebody into the water, into the deep end, doesn't always work super well. So reinventing yourself a little bit at a time helps to connect you to your past. And then people still know you're still the same thing. It just moves a little bit at a time. Um, for me, when I think about brand implementation, I preach an inside out approach. I absolutely think that this is the way to go. First, you determine your brand. So you think about it like a funnel. At the very top, you're thinking about, what your organization does and who you are and all of the things at that top end that distinguish you. And then from there, you develop your IMC plan and your brand and your logo and the do you want to use, like, what types of words do you want to use? Do you want to be funny? Do you want to be incredibly professional? Do you want to be a resource, or do you want to be a place where people go to have a laugh? All those things you kind of decide there. Then you have like your actual implementation process. Determine your brand, and then from there you take it and you say, here's what we're going to do. We are going to move this, and we are going to think about this for um, our employees. Even if you just have a couple employees and you say like, hey, well, this doesn't really apply to me, I only have 2 employees. It starts there, and then you have your employees talk to your clients, and then you have your clients talk out. You don't just go online and just reinvent yourself, because if you start with that inside out approach, I think that it can really be a big deal with with the way that that actually is integrated. So next up here, we're going to jump over to content generation. In the last few months, not even the last year, but in the last few months, I have talked with several new clients, and a commonality amongst all of them is a need for content generation. Content generation is all forms of content that you have. For a time, people thought that, okay, well, this is my newsletter, that's my content, right? No, it's not just that. Because of social media, this is a major part of story sharing. Is this your Facebook post? Yes. Is this your advertising? Yes. Is this your marketing materials? Yes. Is this your newsletter, your donation letters, your proposals? All types of content. Sure. These all come down into this. So when I'll stop sharing this, that's the last one. We're going to go to our third question here. Does your current company currently have a content generation plan? And absolutely, yes. And maybe a little bit, or what is a content generation plan? I'm very interested in hearing what people think about this one, because I think that this was one of the, after I gave the last seminar to this group, a number of people wrote back about content calendars and content generation. About 2 more seconds. And So nobody is super confident in this. Most people say, yeah, I'm a little bit. And some people say, nope, I'm not. So that's great. That this is a teaching moment then. Okay. So content generation, you're gonna feel like this is a lot of the stuff that I was talking about with IMC. There must be a continuity across all channels. Consider your tone, consider your goals. Before you jump in, you need to have your plan in mind. Going all the way back to the beginning of this conversation, I talked about what my boss said about infrastructure. And that's what content generation is. It's creating your infrastructure. What are your goals? Who is your brand? And how can you find repeatable success? Regardless if this is a radio ad, Instagram story, or a newsletter, you should have your goals in mind. Let's say you want to use a newsletter and you want to post it uh, up on your through your Constant Contact or MailChimp or something, and you want to send out your email communications that way. Okay, what is your goal of your communications? Are you trying to get people to come back to your website? Are you trying to get people to call you? What is your call to action? You need to think about your goal for these types of things. And you need to think about your overall tone. What does your ethos look like? How do you want to phrase things? How do you want to appear to your clients? And all of these things are necessary, but you need to do this before you actually create your content. Okay. So again, looking at that funnel, we looked at all the different areas that we can use. And now that you know what you want to do, you can start thinking about, okay, here are the different areas that I want to cover, and here are the direction we're going to go. Next up is you need to be consistent. You need that continuity, but then you also need to be consistent. How frequently are you posting? Uh, you need to build your content out this way. Um, One of the newest clients that I have, uh, we set up their social media accounts, and they had absolutely no idea with the frequency in which they should be posting. Should they be posting once a month, or once every 2 weeks, or once a week, or 5 times a week, or whatever? You need to figure those things out, but you need to find a consistent process to find that repeatable success.
I was just going to mention, Matt, if this can sometimes all seem like a little bit too big, right? Like, oh my God, where do I start? Because this is all a lot of stuff. You know, if I could make a suggestion to you, for anybody that's in business, if you want to start with a content plan, right, and a communication plan, start with your current customers. Put a plan together to communicate with your past customers and your prospects on a regular basis, because they are more likely to do business with you in the future because they're already your customers, or they're more likely to refer people to you. That's a simple place to start. You can then launch that into a broader marketplace to acquire additional leads out there. But you can start simple by having a customer service model in place to communicate with your own customers on a regular basis, and then move beyond that. And you can get some practice and work on whatever your messaging is, and you can use that stuff to the broader marketplace as well, if you're out there. But that might be a smaller way, a little bit more mentally manageable way of getting something like this started, if you don't have a content plan, in place.
Absolutely. And Mike's already picking my brain, because that's really what this next slide's all about. So the next slide here is the idea of kind of starting small with your content pillars. And what this means is you need to figure out, what types of posts are you looking for? One of the things that ends up becoming just really complex to people is, okay, you're telling me I need to post all the time. What am I supposed to post about? And then they just start throwing posts out there that have no continuity, that have no consistency, that don't really highlight your brands, that don't have any call to action. So you need to start and say, stop. Let's think about where we are. Think about, what types of posts do you want? Do you want posts talking about you? Do you want posts talking about the community? Do you want posts talking about your employees or your services, or about your engagement, or is it about entertainment? And I think when you start to figure these types of things out, this is really, really important. So one of the things that I will always talk about is that if you want to use any form of media, talking newsletters, talking blog posts, talking your website, social media, radio ads, whatever. If you are only plugging your brand, if you are only saying, hey, look, I can do these services, I can do these services, people aren't going to engage with that content. You need to be a resource for people, or you need to engage with people, or you need to entertain people, or you need to show people the other things that you're doing. The quick anecdote right here. What our first year on social media, uh, we were posting, I think on average, we were averaging 3 posts a week for the entire year. And we made videos of about our services, and we talked about really specific types of things. And we also, wrote articles about things that we thought that our clients would be most involved with and engaged with. And not even close, but the number one post that we had for the entire year was 4 of us went to a mini golf outing, and we took a picture together at the mini golf outing, and just 4 employees smiling and holding up mini golf balls. And it had over 3 times the reach as our second best post. And it just goes to show that sometimes people don't want to hear you just talk about yourself all the time and say, hey, I can do this for you. Hey, I can do this for you. Sometimes people just want to see you. Sometimes people just want to see that you're a person, and they want to develop relationships with people that they know and trust. And these are, in depending again on your brand and who you are and what you do, you can, adapt this to your own business. But these are just important things to remember sometimes, that it can't just be a sales pitch 100% of the time. It can't always be that radio ad like just a constant drone going on, or people aren't going to look at it. You need to engage with people. You need to have fun with it sometimes. So I've been talking about the concept of ethos throughout this. And I have a really basic little thing right here of 2 different posts. And one is a response by Wendy's, and the other is a post by Robert Morris University, a school in Pittsburgh. One, someone tweeted, does Wendy's still do the 444? And Wendy's is poking fun at this person and saying, my dude, would you like to buy a vowel? And then Pat Sajak, the host of Wheel of Fortune, writes back what they said. So that is, on this end, we are talking about a playful ethos, someone who's actually taking a presumable customer and poking fun at them. And then when the host of Wheel of Fortune comes in, this tweet then goes viral, and it's funny, it's humorous, but it's also reactive. This is a random person that posted this, and they reacted to it. Now on the right, we have a more traditional post. This is Robert Morris University, and this is the Alumni of the Month post. And this was from a couple months back, and they were highlighting one person, one alumni. Boom, it's a really nice, high quality, high res picture with very specific things in here. You have to know what you want to do online. One of the worst mistakes that you can make is to not understand your voice, your ethos, your credibility, who you are. What you want to do on social media or in any forms of, any form of communication that you have, is to understand what you're trying to do. And it looks like Wendy's is trying to have fun with things, and Robert Morris is trying to promote credibility. It's trying to be direct and clear and engage with its, previous alumni and things like that. And that's okay. So you can succeed doing totally different types of things. So there is not a one size fits all method to content generation. The type of content that you do, the type of content you provide is completely up to you. But you need to be consistent. You need to have that cohesiveness, and you need to do it in a way so that you can have that repeatable success.
What I like about the Robert Morris one there is it's sneaky, right? It is saying, hey, look at this alum who graduated from Robert Morris and has this great career. So indirectly, it's saying,
Yep.
for one reason, indirectly, it's saying go to Robert Morris because you can be like Amy Williams here,
Yep.
right? But secondly, you have to remember that social media is social first and foremost. And so you tag Amy Williams, and now Amy Williams wants to send this to all of her friends saying, hey, look at me. I got posted on Robert Morris's social media page, and they all look at it, and you get more eyes on your business by, instead of focusing on yourself,
Yep.
focusing on somebody else, but it draws attention to you. And so if you're out there as in the B2B world, maybe it would be a good idea for you to highlight your customers in your social media. They like free marketing just like anybody else, but it reflects well on you too.
Absolutely. The last part here in this section is a content calendar. For me, there is no better way to manage your content and generate your content than a content calendar. This will include everything you do. This will include all the messaging and the communications you have. For example, let's say your organization wants to post on Facebook 3 times a week, LinkedIn 3 times a week, Instagram 5 times a week, release a monthly newsletter, and write 3 blog posts. You write this all out on your content calendar and go in that way. You think about all of the different ways that you're going to disseminate content, and you figure out who's responsible, who's coming up with the content, who's responsible for it. Will there be an approval process? Who's going to be posting it? How do you do all of these things? At the very beginning of this talk, before this actually began, as some of you were still on here, and Mike and I were talking about post-COVID, a lot of people are trying to find ways to automate things. And there are so many different options to automate things. So let's say, for example, you use MailChimp and you use the free version for your email communications. You actually have to go in and hit the send button if you don't have the premium account. If you have the premium account, you can actually schedule things out and then they just go out automatically. So that's a small automation thing that you can do to kind of help your content calendar out. When I think about a content calendar, I like to see the big picture. I want to see everything. Here's the strategy that we're using. And I like to break it down even by percentages. So saying, okay, let's look at Facebook and say for our base now, we post about 10 times a week. For those 10 posts, I want to see 5 posts like this. I'm going to see 3 posts like this and 2 posts like this, and try to break those things out so that you kind of really become as granular as possible, because as soon as you do that, you can repeat that again and again and again. Every month gets easier. And if you do the legwork up front, creating a content calendar will help out immensely for your content generation. So our third and final pillar that we're going to be discussing today is going to be social media. And I have a question here. How does your organization currently use social media? Do you use 3 or more platforms? And when I say platforms, I mean like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Do you use 1 to 2 platforms? We do not currently use social media, but we want to, or we do not plan to use social media. That's okay too. All right, just a couple more seconds. And so we're kind of all over here, and that's all good. I really like the idea of people saying that nobody here said we do not plan to use social media. And the reason that I say that that's a good thing is simply because a while back, it was a choice to use social media, even 5 years ago, but definitely 10 years ago. Some places said, yeah, we want to use social media. No, we really don't want to. And that was okay. Social media has a stranglehold on everything. And because of social media ads, it's just where people are all the time. What do we talk about at the beginning of this? People are on their phones. What are people doing on their phones? People are on social media. And as the length of time continues to go up on social media, I think more and more businesses are seeing the value in it. I don't want to tell you that social media is the only way you can do business, because it's clearly not, but it is an integral part of many businesses. So, thing that I like to think about is, which social media platform should you use? Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And the reason why I use these six is because I think that most times when businesses are just starting out, you need to go to the big ones. Are there areas to use some of the lesser known forms of social media? Absolutely. But most people are going to be using the top ones. So I'm going to do a really, really quick pitch for all of them, just so we kind of get a decent idea of where all of these things are. I'm sure a lot of people already know these things, but I do have some metrics and numbers that I think are pretty eye-opening. Facebook is still the absolute largest network, 2.8 billion monthly active users, 1.84 billion use Facebook daily. 1.8 billion people use Facebook every single day. 6.1 million marketers, and this is in the US, use Facebook daily. So people who are trying to promote online are typically doing this through Facebook. People are spending 38 minutes a day on Facebook, and this is all ages, primarily 25 to 34, but it really hits all ages, and there has been a significant increase in older populations too. So the 50 plus has continued to rise since the beginning of the pandemic on Facebook. This is a decent split of 44% female, 56% male, so you're able to hit different demographics. If you are going, if you say, hey, I don't want you to know anything about my business, close your eyes and tell me what one platform I should use, I'm going to say Facebook. No, Facebook is not perfect for every organization, but this is still the de facto standard, and you would have to convince me otherwise to use something else instead of Facebook if you're going to just choose one. Next up here is LinkedIn. This is still the most professional platform. This helps with networking. Higher level management is on this app. So depending if you have a B2B type of business and you're looking to not just reach businesses, but reach higher level management people, this is the place to go to it. You see the age difference is way different. 46 to 55 is the primary age user here. So you're hitting a different demographic. Again, think about who you are, who your target clients are, and how you want to engage with them. Next up here is Twitter. Twitter has 187 million daily users. Engagement with customers is through the roof. You're able to engage directly with people on Twitter, higher in males more than anything else. And 80% of tweets come from 10% of users. So we're seeing a disproportionate number of the top people who use Twitter use it all the time. From a marketing perspective, Twitter is one that scares me. Twitter is something that you need to be monitoring a lot. This is something that you would need multiple people overseeing your Twitter account to make sure that you stay on top of things all the time. You need to be posting new information, honestly, probably daily, and you need to try to engage with as many people as possible. For you to grow your Twitter account, it's probably more difficult on Twitter than it is for anything else as a small business. Mike?
Yeah, I was just going to say Twitter is interesting because you can engage directly with people. So you can be searching for search terms or trending issues, and then jump directly into a conversation real time when it's happening. So it can be a very effective way to capture attention in a very timely manner. But you have to be out there looking. But you can. It's like jumping into a conversation that is going on when you have something relevant to say. It can be very effective, in that regard. Um, and it can also be helpful to get an idea of trending issues, that are out there that may also translate to other social media platforms, because it just indicates what people are interested in.
Yep.
And so it may inform what you might want to post elsewhere, because you can see that people are interested in a particular topic, or another.
Cool. And
Although I haven't really maximized any trending Friday night wrestling texts yet, although I've tried.
I was just going to say, Matt, could you actually go back to that LinkedIn slide quickly and just reiterate that for a second?
Sure. What in particular? Just the whole slide?
Just the whole slide, I
Okay.
would think. We had a couple questions
Okay.
on it.
Okay, so LinkedIn is the most professional platform. It's really not all that close, and this helps with networking. You're able to engage with different people. You're able to connect with people. I particularly like LinkedIn. I go to a community event. I go to a networking event, and I feel completely comfortable connecting with somebody on LinkedIn after that. You're seeing the most high-level management on this, and a lot of times it's not that high level management aren't on Facebook or something. They might use a different name or something, and they might not want to share their profile. Whereas on LinkedIn, people are much more open to sharing their profile, sharing ideas. The typical age is 46 to 55, which is significantly older than a lot of the other platforms. So the people who are on this the most, it's a different demographic. And I think that one of the things that really separates LinkedIn as a positive thing is that I have found that people are more likely to share and engage with content on whatever area that you're in. So on Facebook, if let's say I write an article about social media and how a small business would choose which social media platforms to use, and I write a really good article, and on Facebook nobody shares that article because it's not the place to share that. But if you're writing about professional things, if you're talking about B2B, a lot more people are more interested in engaging and sharing on LinkedIn than the others.
Yeah, that's definitely a platform where your content, substantive content, is going to do, I think, better. And you should be thinking about what those people are thinking about and what they care about. It might not just be their business. It could be other things, in their personal life. People in the 40 to 50 age range might be interested in, estate planning or financial planning or things, that relate to that. They're going to be interested in those issues as well.
Great. So we covered Twitter. Next up here is Instagram. Instagram has 1 billion active monthly users. Here's the thing. Instagram is owned by Facebook, but it's inherently different. 57% female users. So if you're looking for a different demographic, you have an opportunity to hit that in Instagram. And this has changed considerably over the last 3 years. Before the last 3 years, the number was actually in the 80 percentile for female users. Now more males are starting to use it, so it is shifting closer to the mean. And also, there are Reels, IGTV, and Stories. These are all different things that you can do. So you can post a picture on Instagram. A Reel is, honestly, it's a watered down version of TikTok, and you're able to post short up to 1 minute or up to 30-second videos on Instagram. And these are quick hitters, and then you get them seen by a lot of people. IGTV is much like YouTube. And then Stories, those are the disappearing things that only last for 24 hours right up on your story. There are different ways to engage on Instagram. And I think Instagram provides a really great platform because it connects into Facebook. So you are able to post things at both places simultaneously. Sometimes you do want them to be a little bit different, but it is a nice time saver when you have that opportunity to. I think that Instagram is continuing to grow, and especially if you have a business that lends itself open to pictures of the things that you do or the products that you sell, Instagram is a wonderful place to be. So for example, you're an artist, use Instagram. You're a hairstylist, use Instagram. If you do, like, let's say, you have a lawn care business. Honestly, like those are really great pictures. You show lawns that you prettied up and you made them really nice. Boom, you get to take pictures of that, post them on your Instagram account. You can be seen by a lot of people. So I think that there are places for that, but you need those eye-catching things for Instagram. At Donnelly-Boland, we do not currently use Instagram because we haven't been able to make the business case to expand into that, considering that most of our photography is stock photography and not original photography. So that's where we are in that. Next up here, we have YouTube ages 15 to 25. So it's a little bit of a younger audience. Longer engagements on YouTube. You have people who sit and watch video after video after video, which is nice. And you can have steady ad growth in YouTube. And the reason that's important is because the growth of the ads in YouTube has considerably raised over the last few years, meaning that more people are now filtering into YouTube more regularly. So if you have longer content that you want for video, this is a wonderful thing that you can do, but you need to think about your quality. You need to think about your repeatable success. How are you updating this? If you have one good idea for a video, don't make a YouTube. But if you think that you can update this on a monthly or weekly basis and you want to post to YouTube, this can be a really good avenue for that. Last up here is TikTok. TikTok is the new one. TikTok is the one that you hear about, but that you don't totally understand what it is. Already 100 million active monthly users. People are spending 45 minutes per day on this. Again, it's of the younger group. There is new ad integrations. So as of like 6 months ago, there were virtually no ads on TikTok. Now they're starting to integrate more ads. And from what I've read, it looks like that's going to continue on. But at this time, it's really tough for businesses to break through on TikTok. But I would encourage people to kind of have an eye out for TikTok, because I think that as ad revenues go up, this might be a place for more businesses in the upcoming years. So I would consider that. Of this section, I do have five social media takeaways here. One, only choose platforms you intend to use regularly. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So you need to have that habit. If you open up accounts for everything and you create an account for TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, but you never use them, an inactive account is worse than no account. People will get the wrong impression of your brand, of who you are. So if you want to start with one. If you want to, if you're really getting into it and you want to start with two, that's okay. Maybe you want to start with LinkedIn and Facebook, absolutely fine. But I would encourage people to think about the whole process. Think about all the things that you can do before you just jump in blindly. Next, content should be tailored to each platform. You might want to share things for all of your platforms, but even think about pictures. Pictures don't resonate the same way. Pictures aren't oriented in the exact same way. So you have a square picture on one and a rectangle picture on the other. I would encourage you to think about that. And even if you're going to copy and paste and then just tweak it a little bit, I think in many cases it ends up looking a little bit nicer. It's a little bit easier to engage with when you can link things up. Also, it can allow for you to have different call to actions. So maybe in Instagram, you want people to go to your Instagram profile and click a link. And in Facebook, you want them to click the link that's directly embedded in there. So I do think that there is a lot of value in tailoring your content for each platform. Number three, all content should be consistent with your IMC strategy. Going back to the concept of your brand development, your IMC strategy is everything, making sure that all of these pieces connect, all of these pieces come together and showcase you the way that you want to be seen. Pay attention to your metrics and your results. The reason for this is that you can look up best times to post all day long, but that might not be how your audience reviews that. At our company, we have two sister companies in our building, and Anna and I run their social media pages. And one of them in particular was finding that very few people were seeing their post, in the middle of the day. And then we started posting their things at night, and, their visibility went up considerably. They are a social services group that helps kids from birth to 3 years old. They're posting pictures of cute babies. They're telling parents, hey, if you need services, come in for help. And we found that their demographic and their group of people were engaging more when we posted between 6 and 8 p.m. versus posting from 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. So pay attention to your metrics and then, use different things from that. And then the fifth one is stay current with the trends to evaluate future platforms. There have been a number of platforms that have tried and failed and haven't worked out the way that people thought they would. And then some work out really well. So that's what I was saying with TikTok. Keep an eye on it. Every couple months, do a Google search and ask if businesses are typically on TikTok and see if things change. And I think that might be a good idea to consider. So that's essentially the presentation today. And I have 3 takeaway points. I am very big on the idea of when you leave this seminar, here are the things that I want you to know. So you leave this seminar and you say, what did I learn from this? Here are the 3 key takeaway points. 1, know your brand. You need to understand your organization, what you do, who you are, and who you want to engage with. If you don't actually know your brand, it will make marketing so much more difficult. So you got to know yourself before you start jumping into the marketing end. Number 2, develop a content calendar. By creating a schedule for all of your content, you will be creating the infrastructure for repeatable success. It is also great to have a high-level overview of the types of messages that you're getting out and to make sure that you're finding your successes in the areas that you want to be seeing those successes. And 3, and finally, choose your social media platforms wisely. Don't just use all social media just because you think you should. Don't use LinkedIn because you think you should, or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. You have to know why you're doing it. Consider your brand, your ethos, and choose the platforms that best suit your organization and your goals. So that's it. That's what I have for today. We have questions. I'm going to actually leave this up on here. It has my contact information. I am available. So if you would ever like to reach out to Donnelly-Boland for obviously help doing things, I can help you. But if you're just looking for a quick question here or there, and you want to give me a call or shoot me an email, I like helping people out. I like talking about these types of things. So I like to be here for people. It looks like the chat is popping off right now. Anna, is there anything I should be looking at?
You actually, I was going to ask you to reiterate just kind of like the best points to start at. And I think there's still good points to start at, even if your organization is already established in the sector. But you actually already went over that. So we had some points of that in the chat going on kind of where is the best place to start for organizations. But we've had a lot of good questions today. I'm really happy with everybody that kind of chimed in and gave some good perspectives on stuff. And we're able to bounce around some ideas down here too.
Mike, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, well, I would only add start small. It can become unmanageable very quickly. So start small. Find one thing to do if you can't create content on your own, and you'll grow into it, is find other sources of content that are relevant and consistent with your brand and share them, right? You can share them from Donnelly-Boland's Facebook pages and social media platforms if that's relevant to your business. Mine are always out there as well for FIFIC Law Group. So you can start there. Find some other organizations that produce reliable content, subscribe to them, and then share some ideas from them. Be a resource. That's what people will share. If you're a resource, they're going to share it because they're going to want to pass along an interesting tip to a friend. And that's how you start getting some eyes and views and shares, because social media is in fact social. So try to spread it around. Speaking of spreading it around, we also are hosting a webinar tomorrow. It is an investment property masterclass, and it begins at noon. That's facilitated by our friends at First National Bank, FNB. We have an excellent presenter there as well. So if you'd like to attend that, or if you have customers who you think would be interested in attending that webinar, it's complimentary. So please share the link with them to attend again. Matt, do we have a schedule for an upcoming webinar where you're going to be presenting again, your group?
Yes.
I think it's in June, if I'm not mistaken.
It's either in June or July. We do have the date for that, and that one's going to be on human resources.
Yes.
And that will kind of dovetail on what I also wanted to leave you guys with. Anna is going to be sending everyone a survey from this seminar. If you could take a few minutes to fill out the survey, let us know what we did well, what you liked, what you didn't like, where to go from here. That helps us figure out what types of content you want to hear in the future and programming moving forward. Also, if you just think that I was unbelievable, like I'm talking like you think that I was truly incredible, there's also going to be a link to our Google reviews page. If you would, if you liked what you heard and you wanted to say, hey, I liked attending this complimentary seminar and I'd like to give you a Google review, that would greatly help out. And that would be wonderful too. But if you could definitely take the regular seminar or the regular survey and hear what you thought, that would help us out. And in that email, I'll make sure that Anna includes everything for the HR seminar so that you see the date and time for that. And then Mike will get that out to his people as well.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If anyone has any additional questions, you can ask them, but otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for your time and attention and your great questions.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.